The US dollar. For more than a century, it's been the most powerful currency on Earth, a symbol of stability, trust, and global dominance. But what if, in 2025, that symbol suddenly collapsed? Imagine waking up tomorrow to find stores shuttered, ATMs empty, and your life savings reduced to nothing more than numbers on a screen. The dollar isn't just America's money, it's the backbone of global trade, the reserve currency for nations everywhere. If it crashes, the consequences won't stop at US borders. They'll ripple across the globe, reshaping economies, governments, and lives. But would the collapse look like instant chaos in the streets or a slow economic unraveling? Would allies rush to save the United States, or would rivals seize the chance to step into power? Today we'll explore the possibility of a dollar collapse in 2025 and what the fallout could mean for the world. Hour 1. The shock hits home. Meet Alex, an average American who wakes up to a normal morning in April 2025. His phone buzzes with dozens of alerts, missed calls, urgent texts, and breaking news headlines. Bleary-eyed, he scrolls through and freezes on one notification. US dollar crashes, value plummets overnight in historic collapse. Heart-pounding, Alex rushes to check his bank account. The login screen crawls as millions of people flood banking websites at the same time. Finally, his balance appears, exactly the same as yesterday. But as he refreshes, reality sinks in. Those numbers are meaningless now. His modest savings no longer buy a single gallon of gas, a loaf of bread, or even a cup of coffee. Panic sets in. Alex dials his bank, only to be met with an automated voice. "We are experiencing an unusually high call volume. Please remain on the line." The line doesn't move. Millions of others are stuck in the same digital limbo, desperate for answers. Turning on the TV only makes it worse. News anchors struggle to explain the catastrophe, while footage rolls of grocery stores stripped bare. Shoppers wrestle over bottled water. Gas stations blockade pumps, demanding goods or foreign currency instead of dollars. Alex opens his wallet, just under $100 in bills. Yesterday, it felt like a safety net. Today, it feels like a cruel joke. Hour 2. The Economists speak. While Alex and millions of Americans scramble to make sense of their new reality, cameras turn to economists, historians, and policymakers. In a packed press conference, a financial analyst explains with grim precision. The collapse began as investors around the world lost faith in U.S. debt. For decades, the United States borrowed trillions, assuming demand for its bonds would never dry up. But when confidence faltered, a selling wave began. Nations once loyal to the dollar, China, Russia, even some European allies, dumped their holdings. What followed was the sharpest currency free fall in modern history. Another expert adds, currencies collapse when people no longer believe in their stability, and once faith is broken, recovery is almost impossible without massive restructuring. Looking back, the warning signs. The seeds of this collapse weren't sown overnight. For years, warning signs flashed in plain sight. Record U.S. debt, surpassing $34 trillion by the mid-2020s. Endless money printing, trillions issued during the pandemic and beyond. Declining global trust, nations searching for alternatives to the dollar. Rising inflation, eating away at everyday purchasing power. These signals, ignored or dismissed, became the cracks that finally split wide open. Historical echoes, not the first collapse. The narrators draw chilling parallels with history. Germany, 1923. The Weimar Republic printed money until wheelbarrows of cash bought a single loaf of bread. Zimbabwe, 2008. Inflation soared into the billions of percent, wiping out savings overnight. Argentina, 1990s to today. A cycle of default and devaluation that shattered public trust. The difference? None of those currencies were the world's reserve. The US dollar was supposed to be immune, until it wasn't. Global shockwaves. Across the world, the impact is immediate. In London,
Banks suspend trading as the pound surges uncontrollably against the collapsing dollar. European governments call emergency summits to prevent economic chaos. In Beijing, officials seize the opportunity. State TV declares the yuan is ready to replace the dollar as the foundation of global trade. Meanwhile, oil-producing nations in the Middle East quietly announce they will no longer price crude in dollars. Even small countries feel the blow. In Africa, remittances from the US, a lifeline for millions, lose their value overnight. In South America, governments rush to peg their currencies to gold, desperate to shield themselves from the storm. For ordinary people like Alex, though, the explanations don't matter. His fridge is empty, his children are hungry, and no expert analysis will put food back on the table. Hour 3. The human fallout. By the third day of the collapse, the panic is no longer confined to news broadcasts or financial charts. It spills into the streets. Supermarkets stand barren, their shelves swept clean by desperate families. Pharmacies lock their doors, unable to restock medicine because suppliers refuse payment in dollars. Gas stations across the country turn away drivers, their pumps chained shut. For Alex, survival becomes a daily struggle. He watches neighbors barter food for batteries, soap for fuel, jewelry for a sack of rice. The US dollar, once the most trusted currency in the world, is now rejected even in American towns. Instead, people rely on whatever holds immediate value: canned goods, foreign bills, or gold coins hidden in old drawers. The rise of black markets. When official systems fail, underground networks thrive. Parking lots transform into shadow bazaars. A gallon of milk trades for 3 packs of cigarettes. A gallon of gas is worth a week's wages, if anyone still has wages to give. Online forums explode with messages like, "Silver for medicine, serious offers only," or "Bitcoin accepted, no dollars." Digital currencies, once seen as volatile experiments, suddenly become lifelines. Bitcoin and stablecoins surge in use, not for investment, but for survival. The government response. In Washington, the government scrambles. Emergency broadcasts assure citizens that stability will return, but few believe it. Congress rushes to pass relief bills, but with the dollar broken, printing money only deepens the crisis. The military is quietly deployed to major cities, not to fight a foreign enemy, but to maintain order at home. Curfews are enforced. Protests flare as thousands demand access to food and fuel. The president addresses the nation. "This is the most severe economic crisis in American history, but we will endure. We are working with international partners to stabilize trade and rebuild trust." For many watching, the words feel hollow. Trust was what collapsed first, and without it, no amount of promises can bring the dollar back. Ordinary lives in ruin. In Los Angeles, a single mother trades her engagement ring for baby formula. In rural Kansas, farmers refuse dollars for their crops, demanding diesel fuel instead. In New York City, subway stations fall silent as transit workers strike, demanding payment in foreign currency. The collapse is no longer a financial story, it's human. Families fracture under the strain. Communities fracture under suspicion. The American dream itself fractures, replaced by a daily fight for survival. Global perception. Around the world, allies look on with shock, rivals with satisfaction. Newspapers in Europe headline, "The End of the American Century." State broadcasters in Russia and China celebrate, declaring the dollar's death as proof of US decline. In quiet conversations, governments everywhere debate a new financial order. Will the euro or yuan take the dollar's throne? Or will nations shift to a basket of currencies? Could gold or even crypto anchor the future of trade? The collapse of 2025 has transformed from a U.S. crisis into a global turning point.
Hour 4. Picking up the pieces. Weeks have passed since the dollar collapsed. The streets are quieter now, but the silence is uneasy. The looting has stopped, but scarcity remains. People have adapted, learning to survive in a world where their old money no longer works. Governments, businesses, and individuals scramble to rebuild. Bartering has become second nature. Community cooperatives emerge, exchanging food, water, and services without relying on currency. Economists call this period a financial reset, a moment when society must rethink what money really represents. Trust, not paper or digital numbers, has become the new currency. International response. Globally, the fallout reshapes alliances and trade networks. Some countries extend emergency loans in foreign currencies. Others seize the opportunity to reduce dependence on the dollar altogether, accelerating the shift toward alternative reserve currencies. China's yuan gains traction in Asia and Africa. The euro strengthened within Europe, pegged to gold and stable assets. Digital currencies and blockchain networks begin handling international trade for smaller nations, bypassing legacy banking systems. For decades, the world relied on the dollar as a stable benchmark. Its collapse proves that no currency, no matter how dominant, is immune to mismanagement and global perception. Economic lessons. Financial experts highlight critical takeaways from the collapse. Debt is a double-edged sword. Trillions in national debt can amplify growth, but also magnify collapse if trust erodes. Inflation is insidious. Gradual erosion of purchasing power weakens the foundation of all financial systems. Diversification matters. Nations and individuals with assets in multiple currencies, precious metals, or cryptocurrencies weathered the initial shock better. Trust is everything. Without confidence in institutions, money loses value faster than any market can react. Alex, like millions of Americans, has learned the hardest lesson. Money alone doesn't guarantee survival. Adaptability, resourcefulness, and community now determine who thrives and who suffers. Society adapts. By the second month after the collapse, a new economy begins to form. Local markets and bartering networks stabilize. Businesses reopen using alternative payment systems. Governments implement digital currency programs backed by tangible assets like gold and energy reserves. Citizens learn to hedge personal finances with hard assets, diversified investments, and savings outside the banking system. The US dollar is no longer omnipresent, but the nation and the world finds a way to move forward. The future of money. Experts predict a new era of finance. Multi-currency trade systems. No single nation dominates global transactions. Digital and decentralized currencies. Blockchain technology ensures transparency and trust. Precious metals and commodities. Gold, silver, and essential resources regain strategic importance. Resilient personal finance. Citizens prioritize liquidity, diversification, and preparedness. The collapse of 2025 teaches one crucial lesson. Money is only as strong as people place trust in it. When confidence erodes, even the most powerful currency can vanish overnight. Alex steps outside, surveying a city both familiar and alien. Grocery stores are open, but the shelves are carefully rationed. People carry coins, trade goods, and occasionally exchange digital wallets filled with stablecoins. The world has not ended, but it has changed irrevocably. The dollar, once the symbol of unshakable American power, now serves as a stark reminder. No system, no matter how dominant, is immune to mismanagement and global perception. In this new era, adaptability, foresight, and resilience are the true currencies. And while the collapse shook the foundations of the global economy, it also offered a rare opportunity, a chance to rebuild smarter, stronger, and more aware of the fragile trust that holds financial systems together. If the US dollar collapses, the consequences would ripple across every corner of the world. The key takeaway is that the strength of money is not in numbers or paper. It's in trust, stability, and the systems that sustain it. Will the dollar survive the trials of 2025? Or has the era of a single dominant currency ended forever? Only time will tell.